Is there anything better than a punchy kick drum? You know, the kind that just hits you in the chest in all the best ways possible, and when a breakdown hits and it syncs up with the guitar palm you chugging and it's just freaking No, there's not. There's nothing better. A great sounding kick in metal music sometimes is everything, especially when it comes to elevating huge guitar riffs. Hello friends, it's Gerry with Black Salt Audio, and today we're gonna mix a punchy metal kick drum. Alright, so here's a session for a song called Emotep, and let's just give it a listen. So listening to the main riff, you can see that we're going for a larger than life feel. A trek through some Egyptian dunes, if you will. At least that's what I was going for. I'm liking the riff and the layering and stuff, but to really bring this riff to its full potential, we're going to have to work on that kick drum. Let's listen to it in solo and see what we're working with. Alright, so these were originally programmed drums that have been printed down, and this is a really great sounding sample because usually when I'm working with like real kick tracks, they're way darker sounding than this, and I would typically have to boost the high end quite a bit. First up, if you're a returning subscriber, then you have probably guessed it by now, good old SSL channel. First, I'm going to high pass all the way to about 30 to 40-ish hertz, since we really don't need any of that extreme sub information. Then I'm going to boost around 10K to get that classic kind of metal kick clickiness that we're all familiar with. But I'm going to engage the bell curve since I'm not really looking to boost anything above that. And then finally, I'm going to do a little bit of a mid-range boost between 1 to 1.5K. Cool, now our kick has more bite and clarity. Next, I'm going to utilize the compressor section of this plugin. I'm going to set the ratio to 3 to 1, keep the attack slow, and set the release as fast as it can go. This is going to give us that smacky sound that we're so used to hearing in metal music, and it's going to actually bring the EQ moves that we just made better into focus. So as you can see, I had to go all the way on the threshold to get the sound that I wanted, but that's okay. Don't ever be afraid to make moves like that. If it makes the song sound better, then like, why the heck not? Now, a nice EQ like this SSL here is really great for adding color to your EQ moves, but it can only go so far. And by that, I mean, you can't really boost frequencies that aren't there. Notice how I didn't really boost any of the low end information. The kick sample that we're working with has a lot of great mid-range and top-end information, but it's definitely lacking in the low frequencies. That's where something like Low Control can really help fill things out. In a previous tutorial, I talked about mixing your kick above your bass versus mixing your bass above your kick, and when you should do which. I go a little bit more into depth in that video, but basically you kind of have to make that decision. And for this example, I'm going to try to mix our kick above the bass. Low Control has a really neat feature of enhancing any frequency you choose by adding harmonic saturation to your signal. This makes that given frequency stand out more in the mix. I find this especially useful when it comes to your bass and kick relationship, because now I can excite, say, around the 100 Hertz range on our kick track, and then enhance 80 Hertz on our bass like I'm already doing, and I'll show that in a second. And this is going to work fabulously for getting that kick and bass separation, and does a much better job than that old sidechaining the bass trick, at least in metal music in my opinion. While I'm at it, I'm also going to compress everything below 90 Hertz and turn up the gain so that we can feel the low end on our kick a little bit more. See how when I set them both to the same frequency, it just kind of sounds a little bit muddy, but when I set them to separate frequencies, you get a lot more separation and clarity. Cool, next I think our kick can benefit from some saturation. Let's use Escalator to give our kick a little more grit, aggression, and thickness. Nice, we've managed to excite the kick that much more and make it feel like it's more in your face, but sometimes when we saturate stuff, it can bring out some not so pleasant frequencies. Last week I did a tutorial on lead guitars and I used Escalator on that, and a very similar thing happened where a lot of the 9K information on above was just kind of unusable, but nothing a little EQ can't solve. The saturation brought out some of that low mid information that I don't like, so let's cut some of that out. So yeah, I'm feeling it around the 154 area on this guy. Usually between 200 and 400 is a good place to start. And finally, the last thing I do is add some parallel compression to give our kick that final smack and slam. We did a whole tutorial on that if you'd like to learn more about parallel compression. How about that for another plug? Great, let's check all of that out in the context of the mix. Oh yeah, we've definitely managed to make that kick way more exciting. Let's check it out during the breakdown section of the song. And also, I want to add, when making EQ moves and such, try to do everything within the context of the mix, meaning try not to reach for that solo button all the time. When I'm showing you guys stuff, I show you guys stuff in solo so you can get a better listen to what I'm doing, but that can quickly turn into a bad habit because you're less likely to make bold and extreme moves that way when you're in solo, because when you're in solo, everything sounds a lot more clearly. But when you hear it in the mix, you're more likely to make those kind of extreme moves because sometimes that's what it takes to make the song sound good. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's listen to how Low Control and Escalator are adding that low-end punch and aggressiveness. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. What are some tricks that you use in your mixes to get that kick and bass separation? I'd love to know your thoughts. If you liked what you heard in this tutorial, there are links in the description where you can get yourself a 14-day free trial of both Low Control and Escalator. And also be sure to go to our website, blacksaltaudio.com, and sign up for our mailing list, as we tend to give out discount codes for our plugins every now and then. We have new videos here every week, so why not consider subscribing and leaving a like while you're at it. And if there are other mixing tutorials that you'd like us to tackle in the future, be sure to comment down below and let us know what you'd like to see next. Until then, I've been Gerry, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya!